All right, we got one more. Suns, Clippers.
Wow.
No Paul George for a while.
Yeah. This is another series with an amazing amount of variance. As much as Paul George will be missed, the Clippers have plenty of people who can step up, not to his level, but they've got plenty of options who they can roll through to find someone who's clicking. If Chris Paul's not playing well, or Booker's not playing well, or Durant always plays well, if Ayton's having a bad game, where does Monty Williams go to? You and I could roll up as their 11th and 12th man, and no one would know the difference.
Jock Lawndale, he's there.
Hey, look, I love Jock, and obviously I'm an Aussie. I've got to back my man in. But if Jock Landale is having to play 25 minutes a game in this series, then the Suns are in strife. He's a good 15-minute a game player, but if he's having to play a major role, if he's their 5th, 6th, maybe even 7th best player, then this could be a problem for the Suns. That said, their top 3, even their top 4, if Ayton's in the mood, is just so damn overwhelming that it might not matter.
Yeah, it still bothers me that Kevin Love didn't sign with them as a buyout guy.
He would have been perfect.
Yeah.
Absolutely perfect for this team.
Why? Why? I don't...
he's not even... And that's the thing. He was never going to play big minutes in Miami because he doesn't play defense. They've got plenty of guys who can shoot the ball and don't play defense, and they don't play any of them. So he was never going to play in Miami.
That one frustrates me. But I might have a little bit of a different opinion here. I think the Suns are going to kill him. 5-gamer.
Wow. Okay.
No Paul George. I think it matters a little bit too much.
Look, I am probably one of the least... I'm probably one of the biggest Paul George haters going around. I'm not a fan at all. I think if you can get lit up by a 33-year-old Joe Ingles in a playoff series, then you probably don't have it. But look, Kawhi is back to what Kawhi was. So as long as Kawhi feels like his legs are okay, then whatever microchip upgrade they've put in him, I think that Kawhi could carry them, and the supporting cast is just so strong and so deep. If Man doesn't happen to be playing well, you can lean on Westbrook a little bit more and let him try and cook Chris Paul for pace. Look, Westbrook he's been good.
Oof.
He hasn't been great. Like I was saying, good compared to expectations, but he has filled a role and he's done it pretty well for the Clippers. But
I don't think I'm legally.
Let's say Russ comes out and goes 1 for 7 in the first 5 minutes of a game. Yank. Let's get Terrence Mann in. Let's put a phenomenal point guard. Good defender who can stretch the floor like yam on people when they close out too hard. Zubats could, if Zubats gets in a mean mood, he might actually make DeAndre Ayton cry. Ayton is not as much as he's a physical specimen, I've never seen a dude that big and that strong and that cut just hate physical contact more than DeAndre Ayton.
Zubats is a rebounding machine.
Well, Zubats, on the other hand, lives to bang bodies with people. He's almost looking for someone. He could be there for 1-0 rebound, and he's running around looking for the person to box out rather than going for the ball. He just looks for contact. So he may scare the shit out of Ayton. Kawhi on Durant will be interesting at both ends of the floor because I actually think they'll spend a fair bit of time on each other at both ends. The big variance for me is can the Clippers slow down Booker? Because there's not an obvious matchup for him.
No, and they need Norman Powell to score a lot.
But that's the thing. Even if Powell doesn't, you've got so many options on that team. And Powell might be
the hero.
Well, you might get a 12 point and 7 minutes Bones cameo. You'd hope you get it in the last game of the series because if you get it early, Bones is going to keep shooting that ball for the rest of the series. But, look, Powell's a decent defender. He's defended upper position most of his career. So, he's strong enough. And maybe that's the matchup for Booker.
Could be.
It could. Yeah, and that's the thing. There are so many levers that Ty Lue can pull, whereas Monty Williams is really stuck for options if Plan A doesn't work.
How do you feel about
said,
Covington?
well, his Plan A is the best in the Western Conference.
Yeah,
like it's a better Plan A than what the Nuggets have, to be honest. But I don't think they have a Plan B. There's just they don't have the cattle.
Okogie has been okay. I liked his defensive impact more than anything, but
And
it doesn't
he's
look
been
like
decent as a shooter too. Like
it
not
doesn't
great,
look like he's
decent.
it doesn't look like he's out of place with the starting five, which I like.
If you swapped a Okoro and a Okogie, you could almost put the Cavs in amongst that top three in the East.
Yeah.
Like he's been solid, and that's all you need from your fifth starter when your other four are that good.
I just think that the top end firepower that the Suns have is going to be way too much.
Yeah, look, overall, I think I agree. I'm going to go Suns in 7. What do you say? Yeah. Suns in 5, yeah?
Suns in 5.
Yeah, I'm going to go Suns in 7 on this one. I think it could be like I don't think watching the actual basketball will be super entertaining for this one, but as an X's and O's nerd like me, I'm going to really enjoy that series just from the tactical level of it. I'm going to really enjoy seeing what Williams does to patch the holes in his roster, and I'm going to like watching what Ty Lue does on a night-to-night basis, a quarter-to-quarter basis, as to which 5-man units he rolls with, what matchups he tries to exploit.
Is there anybody on the Suns bench you feel good about? Anybody?
Jock Landale is probably the closest. So
can we get a couple of good games out of Terrence Ross? Just to do something.
It's not 2016 anymore, so probably not.
TJ Warren, maybe? Can we get some buckets out of him?
Yeah, if there's a man who wants to move back to the Orlando bubble, it's him.
Hey, maybe.
Man, I remember writing a few years ago of the breakout stars of the bubble, and TJ was the headliner.
Yeah, he was unbelievable.
And I mean, it's not his fault. He's been shockingly snake bit since then, but yeah, he's not what he promised to be.
Yeah. Who are your finals picks? And then we'll maybe do a couple of CBA things and call it.
Yeah, well, we're probably going ahead a little bit here, but we are going to do a round 2 and a conference finals and finals pods and all that.
We got to get your prediction in now.
Yeah, look, I think we're going to see a rematch of 2021, and I'm going to say Bucks will win again over the Suns.
Oh,
Bucks were my preseason pick for the championship, and I've seen nothing that will change it. Boston have probably dropped a little bit in my regard. Philly have come up, but I still think Milwaukee, assuming Middleton is at 80% of what he is the best team in the league. And this version of the Suns, assuming they keep their big 4 on the floor, I think are the best in the West, but not enough to beat Milwaukee.
I'm going to take Suns over Celtics.
I knew you couldn't. You have to balance yourself out. You can't sit there and say that you picked the Lakers for a first round and then not pick the Celtics to make the finals. It's almost like your own little internal equilibrium.
Possibly.
Yeah.
I think Durant is so good. He's just so good.
Yeah. Yeah. What else do you say? We've been going for 16 years now, or 15 or whatever it is. He's astonishing. Absolutely astonishing. And look, Boston, I have no qualms with that pick. Even if someone says
best point differential in the
Philly
league
will come out of the East, or any of that top 3, I think could come out of the East and would be a deserving Eastern Conference champion.
Celtics still have the best point differential in the league, 6.4.
They do, but that variance is just so big with them.
Although there is a Middleton factor again here coming up. Like if the Bucks don't really have a good Middleton in that matchup again, I don't know.
Well, that's the thing. They didn't have Middleton at all against the Celtics last season, and still almost took them down in round 2. So for me, if they've got 80% of Middleton, that's enough.
We got a Brogdon revenge tour though.
Yeah, well, I suppose they didn't want to pay him all those years ago, did they?
Yeah.
So, it could be. a belated revenge tour.
Yeah.
Look, I got no problem with a Celtics pick. I can't see anybody
Who are
getting
your
into that
conference
West
finals?
finals ahead of the Suns. Oh, it's a tough one at this stage. Because remember, we've got the assuming that the Nuggets and Suns both win, they'll play in round 2.
Yes.
So, oh man, I'll go Phoenix. And who would the other second round matchup be? It'd be Suns. Kings and Kings and I went Memphis, so I'm saying Kings and Memphis. I tell you what, I'm going to go out on a limb here. I reckon it'll be Suns Kings. I don't know. I just got this feeling. I just think the Kings are the healthiest side.
Yeah. But it wasn't close. Like, they've had their guys during the regular season more than any other team.
Yeah. And, luck would dictate that they'll probably lose someone to an ankle sprain and someone else to a busted finger or something. But because they have had remarkable injury luck through the season. But yeah, I'll say Suns to beat Kings. And I'll go with, I think it's going to be Milwaukee-Boston.
Yeah.
In the conference finals for the East. But we'll see. I mean, we're going to do a pod about the second round and the conference finals when they come up. So, we could be embedding clips of this pod into those and then pointing and laughing at each other.
Yeah. I got one thing on the CBA and then we can close it out.
Is this what you wrote about today?
There's a lot of things there's a lot of things I want to talk about, but I hate the positionless all-NBA thing. I hate it.
Run through your reasons. I've read the article, but, there might be people who haven't, so.
Well, I think number one, the worst part about it is it's supposed to look like a basketball team. Like, the whole purpose of the all-NBA voting was to be like, who's the best center in the league? Who's the best power forward in the league? Who's the best shooting guard in the league? Like the NFL, when they turn in their all-pro teams, they don't put 9 wide receivers and 1 offensive lineman. It's just like not how it works. If you're doing a baseball team, you don't have 10 starting pitchers and then, 1 outfielder. It's just not the way the roster works. That's the number one reason why.
If you're a batter and you've got 10 baseballs flying at you, I bet you're not going to hit one. You're going to flinch. You will dead set flinch.
I don't.
So
the whole point
becomes redundant.
Yeah, it's supposed to look like a basketball team. And furthermore, if you want a snapshot of the season, the MVP ballot is there for you. Like, who are your top 5 guys? There's the MVP ballot.
I agree on the MVP point, but I would counter with, what does a real basketball team look like in this era?
Well, I think there's a way to maybe do it differently. Couldn't you have let's have 3 wings and 1 guard and 1 big man or something like that instead of like, here's 5 wild cards, do what you want.
That was going to be my counter, not exactly as you said it. If you have Giannis, Embiid, and Jokic, it doesn't look like a real basketball team. I agree with that. But if you're going to have stipulations on it, you have a point guard, you have a center, but then you have variance within those other 3 positions. So because remember, there's so many teams that run double point guard sets, or teams that, look at Minnesota, they're running with 2 centers now. You might have a center, a point guard, and in the middle, you might have someone that can be a traditional 1, 2, or 3. And then your traditional 3, a 2, 3, 4. Your 4, a 3, 4, 5. Something
even if
like that.
Siakam's your big man on it. Like, if you have to have certain amount of minutes playing the 5, just something where it's a real basketball team. Because what they're going to end up doing, it's going to be like here's Lillard, and here's Curry, and here's Trey Young, and here's another point guard.
Trey Young, first team NBA. Come on, let's not get crazy.
Yeah. The all NBA teams are going to look ridiculous.
Yeah, and this is where I think we're sort of at the mercy of the voters a little bit. I would argue for some sort of structure in it.
Yes.
But at the same time, the traditional structure needs to go. The traditional structure of a 1, a 2, a 3, a 4, a 5, that just doesn't relate to it. It pretty much your own argument of what does a real it needs to resemble a real basketball team. A 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in the traditional sense.
Yeah, I'm not saying
it's so rare these days that doesn't reflect the basketball team either. So I honestly think that maybe in 5 years, 10 years, we're going to see some sort of structure change to it. Yeah, but they needed to do something. They really needed to do something.
The 5 wild cards is just not a good look to me.
I got to admit, in your article, you mentioned that this could lead to stat padding and bad basketball as players chase all NBA. And you mentioned that it'll look like Houston Rockets basketball. I would counter by asking, is Houston Rockets basketball of this season, is that winning basketball?
No.
So coaches and players who want to be part of winning teams, they're going to counteract them. They're going to manage that themselves anyway. If someone starts trying to stat pad over a course of 3 or 4 games, you can guarantee that a team with a half-decent culture and a half-decent coach will pull that back into line real quick. So I don't think that would be a problem at all.
Like under these rules, would Lillard make the all-NBA team?
Well, he wouldn't, because he wouldn't play 65 games, which I love that stipulation, by the way. I am 100%.
I think it's a little too high. I think it should be like 60.
Yeah,
65
I thought somewhere. Well, I thought somewhere in the 60s, and since 65 is in the middle, to me, 65 is fine. You can argue about the number, but there needs to be a games.
I thought 60 would have been better.
Yeah, and that's sort of the arbitrary number. You can say 58, 65, 70, 72, whatever you want. But the point is they've got that in there now. Because ultimately, I would look at it, and let's say you and I are both max contract players in the NBA, and I've gone out there and played 55 games, slightly better than you've played 75, because I've gotten more rest. Is that fair on you?
I feel like 55 would maybe be the minimum for me.
Yeah,
like that.
But no, I'm just using those two as examples where
55 is really cutting it.
Yeah, no, I'm just using these as like real far end examples to say that you and I have got very similar statistical cases. Mine is slightly better than yours, which means I make an all NBA first team, you make a second, or I make a third and you don't make it at all. But I've done mine with less effort because I've played 20 less games. Is that fair on you? And I'd argue it's not. So the game limit is a good thing.
I'm very worried about, like, hey, the Hornets are out of it. We got to get LaMelo Ball onto one of these all-NBA teams. Our season's over anyway. Well, here comes 30 shots out of a LaMelo Ball every game.
But remember, the media voters are smart enough to see that now. I hope so. Efficiency and all-encompassing advanced stats, they would suffer with those. And I think the media... The media voting panel would be much more aware of that now than they were even 10, 15 years ago.
I don't always trust them to do the right thing, though, in terms of that.
I'm much more trusting now than what I was. Like, there was that change. I don't know when it happened, maybe 2011, I think, when the NBA got rid of all of the local beat writers and people who worked for the teams in some capacity as media voters and cut it down to that panel of, I think it's 100.
Kendrick Perkins gets a vote, so...
Look, there's always going to be some dickhead. You cannot legislate for everything. That's the issue. You can't legislate for the lowest common denominator. But look, I wrote an article about voter fatigue last week, and I mentioned that the voting system is designed to make those outliers less prominent in voting. In the final tallies. It's similar to a political voting system. So something where some knob from Boston decides to put prime Kendrick Perkins in as first or second on his MVP or Defensive Player of the Year, that's going to get pretty much buried because of the actual voting system that is used, the border system that's used. So I'm not too worried about those sort of things. I think that 99% of the voters take it seriously enough, especially because there are literally millions of dollars at stake for their decisions, which is something I don't agree with.
Many.
I would hate to be a media voter knowing that my decision could mean this person gets an extra 30 million or not.
Yeah.
I would hate that, especially because the votes are public.
I just think there has to be they went a little too far with it in terms of the all NBA stuff.
I don't know what the answer is, but there must be a better answer than
a guard, a big guy, and then 3 sort of wings or something to where
that I think that we can make we can find a better system on that. But I'm just talking about the fact that contract bonuses are tied into media votes. There must be a better way to do it. Yeah. I don't know what the answer is, but there's surely one out there.
Jaylen Brown's a big one that's coming up. Like he it's almost advantageous if he gets it because the Celtics they have an early window to resign him then.
And he's going to be the poster boy for this.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know the answer though. I'm not smart enough to know the answer.
All right. I think we can call it. That's your round 1 preview. Make sure to follow Jarrod again. That is hey_hey_it's_JP. Myself, Trey Dalbert. Check out the website. We're going to have all the previews on there for vendettasportsmedia.com. Thank you guys for watching. We'll be back with a round 2 preview, and we'll see you next time.